Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, wherever you may be. This is Matt from Vetter Software. I'm our Director of Client Development. And before we begin, we have a large crowd. Please keep your mics muted. A lot of you keep unmuting yourselves. Stop unmuting yourselves. I taught high school for 20 years. I'm ordering you now. I'm being my high school mode. Please keep yourselves muted because the background noise, it's disruptive. Please use the chat option to go ahead and chime in with questions. And I appreciate you letting me kind of break into high school teacher mode there for a moment. Now, today we're going to review inventory. It's always everyone's favorite topic, as I mentioned in my my email, right? They're like eating vegetables. No one wants to do that, but in the end, it's better for you. Managing inventory is another one of those things. So let me go ahead and enlarge my screen. I'm going to log in right now, and I'm going to go to my demo account. And give me a moment here. Nice to see so many of you chimed in today. That's nice. Looks like there's like 19 clinics or something, 18 clinics. That's great. Okay, so I'm going to basically go through various parts of inventory. I'll do a deep dive in as much as I possibly can. I will pause every few minutes and check for chat questions. I imagine there'll be a few. Simply put, nothing works in the software unless you have items in inventory, and that means inventory is right. It's what you do to create your charges. In Vetter, we call them records or medical records, right, on the patient profile. To create any charge or any record, you'd have the item in inventory first. So let's jump to inventory. Let's look at it very quickly. I'm also going to editorialize here, and I'm going to tell you what parts inventory are worth spending more time on, which ones aren't, some areas need more enhancing. Some are already doing a great job, and I just want to give you an honest assessment to use your time most effectively. So first up, here we have just a general overview, orders created, receipts created, etc. Okay. Now, the first thing you'll do is you're going to see your alert screen. Okay. This is low balance and expiration alerts with any applicable last order with your existing balance here. Now, I'm going to tell you, this is very valuable. This is very accurate. It tells you what's expiring where there's low balance. What part of the software, though, this part right here where people say, oh, add a purchase. Well, you can add a purchase after you've made one, or here, add to an existing order. I'm going to tell you this part right here has a bug. So if I want to add this to an existing order, right, and let's just say I pick MWI, and what happens is see, notice this pull-down bar, there should be existing orders should be there. And I should be able to add that to an existing order. This part here, I'm telling you, has a bug. A lot of people don't use this feature right here because of that said bug. I just want to make you aware of that. Hey, this is incredibly accurate, right? Incredibly, it's either accurate or it's not. Sorry, it's accurate. Lot numbers, balance, expiration, all of this is accurate, right? And so if you see these, simply go to the item then. Go to the item and either add a new purchase order, right, to make sure that the alert goes away, or, right, go ahead and use, right, if you have an MWI, Patterson, right, inventory extension, or Victor Medical if you're in California, right, then go ahead and place a new order from here, okay? Take a look at other areas here, categories. We start you off with, this is from AHA's chart of inventory categories. There's 14 of them. Actually, and you can add as many subcategories as you wish, right? These are the main ones, and you add subcategories if you wish. You come to here, you say new category, and you say, gosh, under, whatever, other medical or outpatient services or what have you, I want to add you have to put, I don't know, rechecks or something like that, right? And I can suddenly make that as part of a subcategory, and that helps for reporting purposes, okay? Now, I'm going to come back to the order and receipt things a little bit later. I'm going to tell you that right now, if you have the MWI and Patterson or Victor extension, these are incredibly valuable to reorder inventory and then to track it, right? Because orders never come all at once. It's not like Amazon, right? They're going to come in bits and pieces, and you can then track, especially if you're a larger clinic, partially received orders, open orders. So if you're using the extension, MWI, Patterson, or Victor, very, very effective orders and receipts. If you're not, if you're using, let's say, Shine, because, for example, Shine won't integrate with us. They never will because they're a competitor and they've always said no to us. Or, you're ordering from Midwest or Nevsco or somebody else, right? You're going to want to enter. There's an easier way to enter the orders, and I'll go ahead and show you how to do that. Okay, so I'm saving this part for later. And then finally, we have the quick edit. Now, this is supposed to be at a glance, and I'm going to tell you this is valuable and also, well, needs to be improved. If I want to look here and see, gosh, what are my, surgeries, right? Oh, shoot. Okay, I only have one surgery. Let me find something else. Let's say dietary products, right? Hey, and this is, it's valuable to get a quick look at something, right? The price, the balance, right? I can edit the item and what have you. Now, the part where this becomes less than thoroughly exciting is if I have more than one page of items. So here, prescriptions. I've got, 3 pages, right? And if I'm suddenly on page 2 and I decide, I don't know, I want to make an adjustment for morphine, right? And if I'm going to make an adjustment here. I'm just going to reprice it and call it whatever, $9 per ml. Okay. Now what happens is if I'm on you can't. It works perfectly fine. The problem is you can't do mass updates here, right? So if I do want to update things, I have to do things one step at a time. Ideally, we'd be able to, build in mass updates, such as you want to delete things or what have you. But this is a really good way to look at items, right? Convenient injection. I just want to edit this, right? It's a really easy way for me to go ahead and edit this stuff. And I'm sorry, I need to do some muting again. My apologies. Okay, sorry, got everybody muted again. And okay, questions. Does this mean you cannot do percentage increases in overall prices? Yes, this is from Terry. Presently, we cannot do percentage increases in overall prices. That is not a feature that's yet available. Now, I'll tell you this, though. So right here, this is not for exactly. So exactly like Terry said, this would be great if I could do 5% across the board, right, or what have you. I can't yet do that. And Terry, if I come to here and I go to bulk update, which is a great feature, and I want to, let's say, right here, do a price increase, I'm not able to do this. We used to have this feature, and there was a bug with it, so we removed it. This is something we're building in, the ability to make a mass price increase across all products. Now, if you desperately want to do this, this is the type of thing we can do for you until this is built behind the scenes, Terry. So you can email us and say, hey, can I get a 5% increase for all, like for example here, all dental items, right? Or all, grooming supplies or what have you. Okay. And if you email us that, we can do this for you. It's not going to happen overnight, but we can do it within a relatively short period of time. We're just not able to do it yet in the software. So in lieu of that, Terry, email us, let us know. Okay. And that's one of the things I meant on the quick edit. It's a good feature to look at, quick edit things, but you got to do it each one by one. Okay. Now, that having done that here, let's take a look at how inventory is created. Okay, and I know most of you all know how to do this, but I just want to point some things out in the creation process that should matter. First off, the inventory is preloaded over 50,000 items. And as some of you have already heard me say, if you ever want to see an example of first world excess, just type in shampoo or leashes for some. I got to tell you, I wish I had a cherry grooming shampoo. Or some of these actually look kind of inviting. It's insane. It is non-ending. You get the idea. This comes Micro Pearls Advantage. This stuff looks actually kind of good. Anyhow, you get the idea. This is based on MWI and Patterson's master catalogs, and Shine has the same things. And so what happens is when there's an item in inventory, you go ahead and select it. You when you're building your inventory, you come here, you take a look. God, I want to dispense Rimadyl. Which one do I want to dispense, right? The chewable, the caplets, right? What size, what count, and just to show you a few things. Well, let's say we pick this one here. Now, Vetter's going to get the category right 99.9% of the time. But if you don't want it to be in prescriptions, you can always move it around. The display name, this is what goes on the invoice. So you probably don't want to say 180 count. Controlled, yes or no, Vetter knows this. Now, this is where you can put your concentration in terms of a dosage calculator. The range of, how many what have you per what have you, right, is in this case, it's milligrams. And if you look on the bottle, it's going to tell you how much, the concentration here is 100 milligrams, right? It's what's on the bottle. The range here is going to tell you on the bottle what the range is, how much dosage to dispense per milligram. Now, I'm not an expert at this, right? So I'm not going to even touch it, but that information's on the bottle. Now, if the doctor wants to come in, let's say the range is for whatever reason, it's actually, how do I do that? I did this wrong. Let's just say the range is 10 to 15 milligrams, because that's the bottle, and it's per pound of PET. And maybe the doctor comes in and says, you know what, I always do 15. And this overrides, the dose overrides the dose range, okay? And so what clinics have now been inputting this data, and a lot of clinics maybe have a technician or the inventory, lead go in and do this stuff, and then maybe have a doctor come in at the end and give it a quick look over and say, hey, this is great, we have the dose range, and I'm going to leave this one alone, and maybe on another product, I'm putting in what, I always administer. So just to show you how that works. Now, printed on the invoice, yes or no, right? Some items you may not want to print on an invoice, like such as a fee, right? A dispensing fee, or maybe in a euthanasia, you don't want to put the amount of mLs of Euthisol down, right? Or list the amount of mLs that was used to put Fluffy down. Maybe you just put down euthanasia bundle, right? Get the idea. Next due, this is determines reminders, right? When is an item due for a reminder, right? And if I say, let's say it's a 3-year rabies, I put 36 months, and that means 2 years and 11 months and 2 weeks from now, the software is going to send an email to the client reminding them, okay? Base price, it's either fixed or a percent of cost. If it is a service item, an exam, right? A fixed cost is fine. Whatever you're using, the drug manufacturers, you're buying from the suppliers, they will always change prices on you. So you should always pick, we call this cost plus pricing, because Vetter will then go ahead and calculate the new price for you. So you don't have to worry about if prices change, percent of latest cost, percent of average cost, what have you. Vetter's going to make that adjustment for you. Now, a minimum price is, say something cheap like amoxicillin. You're like, I don't care if the caplet costs, right, 10 cents a capsule. My minimum price is $2 per capsule or $5 per capsule. That means that until that $5 mark is reached, right, the base price won't matter, okay? And I'll show you an example of that in a moment. And fees, if I want to create a fee, I can create these fees and I can add them here, right? Oh, a dispensing fee or what have you, right? And in this case, for example, like let's say I want my base price to be $5. Normally, I want it to be 250% of average cost. Right? Remember, 100% is base, so it's 150% markup. If I want a 200% markup, here we go. Right? But it won't. Right? It won't. It's not gonna. This isn't gonna kick in though until we're at or above $5. The base quantity is how it's dispensed, and either you're dispensing by the jar or the capsule, right, or the tablet, or the ml, or what have you. You put that all in there. Route and location are more for larger practices where technicians are coming in and they may not know the doctor's habits, and they look at this and say, okay, it needs to be administered, right, subcutaneously into the right hind leg or hind limb, right, what have you. Okay. Instructions, this is what goes on the prescription label. Okay. Now I'm going to pause for a moment before I show you an item in my inventory. See, there's questions we got here. Question is, that would be a great feature to add. Yes, Kate, it absolutely will be, because it makes our life easier. And we will add that later in the year. When we had it in there were some bugs with it. Some of you might have tried to use that last year at the end of 2017. And so right now we're just applying it on a clinic by clinic basis. Email us, let us know, hey, I want to raise all vaccine prices 10%. Boom, done. We'll just do it that way, okay? So let me come back to here. Now, remember, if I want to find anything in my inventory, it's going to be up here in a search bar, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and grab one of my demo items I use a lot. I use a lot of cephalexin in my demos, okay? Now, I want to show you here, for example, here. My base price, right? I have 50 cents, but I have a minimum price of $10, okay? Now, what do we have down here? We have price tiering. So, for example, if I want to create volume discounting, say, well, gosh, if you buy, 50 capsules of, if you buy at least 50 capsules of, cephalexin, we will discount it, 15%. And the software will then, if you add that onto an invoice, will go ahead and figure that out for you. So it's just an option some of you have. We come to actions in a moment. It's going to also have your whole sales history here. Now, this used to be, right, this used to be really the only spot where we could see what an item sales history is. Now, this is nice to take a look at things in a glance and view it, but thankfully, we have built a report, right, for sales by item that is far more valuable. And I come to here and I click on my sales by item report, right? This is far more valuable because I can look up, right, any item right here, right? If I look at let's see, my cephalexin, here it is. There's one here. I'm doing a control F trick. And I come down to, here it is, the cephalexin right here. Now, this is the same item I sold right here to Wilbur Post yesterday, right, on the 26th. My date range here is only, right, the last couple days. But if I increase the date range, I will get all of the data that I have here in this report. And this is more valuable of a report. It's easier to read. I take a look at everything, kind of get the idea here. So this used to be our only source of this information. Now we have the report, right? And the report I can edit by date range, of course, any date range I wish. Boom, boom, boom. And finally, right, it's going to capture all this information here. Now, the next thing is my purchase history. Anytime I make a purchase, it's going to be recorded here. Okay? Now, I'm going to go into making purchases in a few minutes. Just give me a moment here, and I'll show you some best practices here. This is just going to look at everything. Now, what's key here is if I fill my purchases out properly, and I put I'm going to put expiration and lot number in, it's then going to show, right, it's then going to show up when I add that item to a patient record. For example, let's take the same cephalexin I have here, and I'm going to go to a patient of mine. And some of you have seen me use, I always use Azrael. What can I say? I like the Smurfs. And I come to here, and I'm going to add a record or a charge, right, from inventory. Now, if I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pull that same cephalexin right here. Boom. 50 cents a capsule. And notice here are the lot numbers right here. I have an unnamed, or I have a lot without an expiration date or without even a lot number. But take a look at what lot numbers I have available here, right? I have, right, this funny one, AS, colon, 4567. Vetter's going to do a first in, first out. If I don't list an expiration date, though, Vetter's going to pull from the lots that don't have an expiration date, just on the assumption that, we screwed up and we need to get that out there first. Now, mind you, I can choose from any lot I wish, right? However I like. I can pull that up and, do it like this, and then the others are here. But let's just show you how this looks like here. Here we have the 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 8. Okay, so I'm going to look for these lot numbers here. And so if you take a look here, what have lots right here? 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 8. 999 remaining. We have this one has 173 remaining, right? There's 99. This has 173, as you saw. Then we have the 3 without, right? An actual lot number, 200, 300, and 734, right? We look here. Here's one with 300 capsules remaining. Here's one with 200 capsules remaining. One with 734. Now, even though this one was purchased before the ones with expiration dates, Vetter will just pull up non-expiration date ones first, because software has to make an assumption somewhere. And if you notice, all of the others have 0 capsule balances, right? Or they may have expired, right? They might have a balance, but if they've expired, right, then they're not going to show up there. This is how, and this does in real-time math deductions. It's going to always show you what you have available there, okay? Now, other things that you can do here is make adjustments, every so often. And I'm going to show you making an adjustment. I'm going to make an adjustment using let's do something in real time, using the inventory dashboard. So let's find something that's expiring here. Gabapentin. Okay, gabapentin expired, well, gosh, almost over 9 months ago. 30 bottles of it. Oh, my God. Okay, well, what have you. So I'm going to go to this gabapentin here, and lot number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? And I'm going to come to here, and I'm going to look up the purchases. And I'm going to look for that lot number. And here it is, expired. Okay, so I have 30 bottles on hand, and 30 have expired. So how do I do this here? Okay, not a problem. I go ahead and I come here, I edit, I'm going to adjust the balance, right? I'm sorry, I'm going to go ahead here and make an adjustment. Sorry, this is if you need to edit the order, my mistake. I'm going to adjust the balance. I'm going to say, hey, there are, oops, no, I'm sorry, back up. Delete the last 30 seconds I said. If I have, pardon me there for a moment, back up. If I have the lot number, the easiest way to make adjustments is as follows. I know that this lot has expired. So I'm going to adjust this balance here. And I'm going to say the actual balance now is 0. Why? Because it expired. And that's going to knock that balance out for that lot number. I say this, notice the current balance went down from 100 to 70. Okay? And my lot number now down here is 0. Now, some of you are saying, why, if there's only 9 bottles of purchase here, do I have a balance of 70? When people set up inventory, oftentimes when clinics set up inventory for the first time, it might be, hey, you're new to Vetter. Well, I have, what have you. I have 61. I'm taking 70 minus 9. I have 61 bottles on hand. So a lot of times when people start in the very beginning, it might be a good idea to say, let's say you're starting at 0 and you say, I suddenly have, let's just say this was 0. I have 87 bottles on hand. And then you could put down for whatever reason, right, clinic use and say, new balance starting. So what happened here is when we set up this demo account, we just created the item, we put in a random balance, right, and then we added purchases after the fact. So that's why a lot of times the balance will not match this because it depends on how you started using the software, right? Some clinics have it up to speed perfectly, but if not, just kind of show you how it works. Now, if I want to make a general adjustment, let's just say I'm at every 6 months, we're going to do a general inventory adjustment, and I go through and I count, my God, we only have 41 available. And I have no idea why we only have 41. Maybe we didn't count properly in the beginning. I don't know. Maybe the boogeyman came and stole some. Who knows why? But then for some reason, they just don't match up right with what we've purchased here. We have 41 on hand. This is when you make a general adjustment. You come here and you make a general adjustment and say, we only have 41. And the reason is I don't know, we just call it a monthly adjustment or other, or making up for starting balance discrepancy. So this is kind of a key little thing here for managing inventory properly, right? Here are all my balances, as you can see, how the process started, right? You notice my colleague Sagi here, he added 70, he made the 74. It's not tied to a purchase order or anything, right? So we can either make adjustments based on the purchase orders, and that is ideal. In a perfect world, there's only 9 bottles here, and I make adjustments. But the world's imperfect. A lot of the way you've done inventory might be imperfect. And so you use the general adjustment balance as a way, right, to make sure that your inventory matches what you have on hand. If you can do it through the lot numbers, the purchases, perfect. Okay. And then finally, these last three, they show a return history. If you have an item that's been returned a lot, if there's any taxes placed on the item that you created in settings, it'll be here. And to show you how returns looks, I'm going to show you an item that I returned a lot in my demos, I believe the Hills Food, and it's going to show any return I've ever made here. I'll come to inventory uses in a moment. I'm going to pause for questions right now and see how we're doing. We got a couple. And Vetter has not been pulling first in, first out from our account. It pulls the most recently added lot, regardless of the lot number. It seems to pull by date, but first in, it pulls last in. Okay, if this is from Drew, so you're right. It will pull from the most recently added lot if there is no expiration date. If there is an expiration date, it does pull first in, first out. Now, if it's not doing that, then that's not something. There's no known bug that I'm aware of, Drew. If you could, Drew, if you could email us with support or email me with the exact item, and say, hey, it was, Cephalot Kills Canine Diet, please pull it, send it to us so we can look at it. Because I haven't come across this, but of course it doesn't mean it's not happening. Please send it to us so we can take a look at it. Then Terry asks, is this what you use when you count inventory? I assume, Terry, you're talking about adjustments. Yes. This is what we use when we count inventory. Like I said, ideally, my inventory is going to match my purchases right here, right? I have a balance of 6, right, bags. I should have 4. But a lot of times people, when they start with Vetter, they have inherited inventory and it doesn't match then, right? It's not going to match. And that's okay. This is just your purchase history, right? So that's an overview of how all of these basic features work. Now, a couple other things that you can do. I can always delete items. If I want to delete them, right, perfectly fine. A second thing I do, I can merge items. And let me go to an item that is mergeable. Let me take a look here, like Riminal. I have multiple, let's say Riminal, let's say Riminal Caplet 100 milligram this is pretty much the same as this. Let's just say that, right? And I want to clean up my inventory. I come to here, and I can hit merge. Now, merges, right, it can't be undone. And I'm going to merge this to my Rimonel 100 milligram here. They're both caplets. I just want to unite them, right? Let's take a quick look here. I have a balance of 9,600, right? And then I have Rimonel here, a balance of 54, right? And so if all goes well, I'm doing this on stage, it's going to end up 96.54, right? And Rimonel right here, boom. I'm going to hit merge. And you merge something into the other, right? And here we have it, woohoo, 96.54. It's going to merge the sales history, the purchase history, right? I might have to redo pricing, right? In this case, I didn't have a price for the new item. Not a problem. I can go ahead and redo these things. That's the other item there for merge. I'm going to pause right now, see if there's any questions. Okay, so now I'm going to come to the last thing in here with inventory, and this is our actions. Okay, so let me just pull up a spade procedure right here, where actions are going to hopefully help. So take a look here. Actions automate inventory. Okay, so first off, what can we do? We can, for any item, first of all, set a low balance or expiration alert. Create alert, expiration, low balance, and that goes on the dashboard in the very front. Okay, I can also then come here and create a, right, I can create, let's say a patient is euthanized. If a patient's euthanized, right, we can make them deceased, right, and it's going to deactivate all existing reminders. And then I have the option now to update all bundles with this, or just specific bundles with the action, okay? We can also, if there's a spay-neuter, well, I've already had that action in place. If there's a spay-neuter view action, it's going to go ahead, right, and desexed the patient. So it does that automatically, right? We're also, a couple other things that you can do with actions is, now if you're a big clinic and you want to print vaccine certificates, anytime an item is added to a record, or a vaccine record to the patient profile, it's going to go ahead and spit out a vaccine or a rabies certificate. And you can set that too. Now I recommend honestly not doing this because your printers will be on overload. I recommend just using the checkout feature to print these things when the client checks out, but to each their own. We wanted to provide that option. We also can disable reminders, and this is more common. For example, like let me jump to a rabies item. Like let's say I've had, I've bought 3 different types of rabies, and I want to make certain, I switched from Novivac to Defensor, and I want to make sure that all these other reminders get disabled. This is where you come here and you say disable reminders, right? That's when, actually, I think I've already done it for here. If you take a look here, view actions. So if you notice here, disable reminders, I already have a disable reminder, and maybe I just want to disable it for all other rabies. I just don't want other rabies to get in the way, right? So I switched here from, let's say Novivac or others. So I could sit here and say I could deactivate all these other ones if I wanted to. We have a whole bunch here. You get the idea, right? And I can just inactivate these, right? Disable them. So I say, gosh, I want to make certain we don't get they're already, so many of them are already inactive, but you get the idea. So I want to make certain I don't double up on these rabies. And so that's where I use the deactivate reminder option. The other thing for actions is the most probably powerful one is to create a task. And you create a task and you say, hey, when this is administered, let's just say 2 days later, I would like, right, to call the client about patient health, what have you, after surgery or what have you. And I update bundles. So that means now that if I add that item, right, to the patient record, it is going to pop up then with a callback alert. And these callbacks are great. I can assign them right to myself. I only have one other colleague in the screen here, or to a colleague, or to a group. Now, my colleague and I are administrators here, right? But this could also give the option of, it could be vet techs, receptionists, staff, right? Veterinarians, admins, what have you, and you can assign it as such. So watch how this works then in action. And this is, I recommend this, the callback task feature is great. So let's say, for example, here, what do we have here? Defensor rabies. Watch, I'm going to jump to, sorry, my little guy, Azrael. Here, I'm going to add a defensor shot, and I come here and I hit new record, right? And I come here, and I'm going to go defensor, and I'm going to come to this inventory uses in a moment. Let's say this is a 3-year defensor rabies, and that's what this item was. Notice the tasks here. Create task, right? It's going to do all of these other things here. Create reminders, disable other reminders. You see this here. And I hit save and done. Notice the task that's been assigned to me. So this is where that callback is valuable. It suddenly says a task is assigned to me. And what's today? Today is June 27th, right? And 2 days from now is June 29th. If I went to June 27th, which is today, I don't have any tasks. I log in. Oh, no, 26th is today. Sorry. And I log in and I look at my daily tasks. I don't have one till the 28th. I have one on the 29th. Call about patient health. You get the idea. That's where that feature is very valuable. Okay. And the last action item is this right here, is the ability to create further reminders. Okay, so every item, let me back up here. Every item in inventory, right, has a default reminder based on a next due date. Now, in my settings, when you set up your account, we have 2 types of reminders, one for appointments, one for medical. And medical is, right, a vaccine reminder, a prescription refill, what have you. And you set this default here. Hey, every medical reminder we have going 1 week prior. And you can choose your type. You can choose the length, entirely up to you, okay? And I have 1 day prior, right, for an appointment, okay? If I come back to here, and I think that something such as rabies is so important, I want more than one reminder. And for example, if I view my reminders here, I have created multiple reminders. Notice I've created a reminder. The default one is 1 week prior. It's in inventory. It's in settings. And then I created one to be 1 month prior, 2 weeks prior, and a text 2 days prior. How do I do that? New action. Create reminders. You can create as many reminders as you wish. And notice that's that 1 week. That's that set one. That's already there. It's defaults. And you want, gosh, I also want to send a postcard. Gosh, what have you, 3 months prior, or a 5th email, right? Entirely up to you is what I'm saying. This is powerful. It allows you to set more than one reminder, okay? I'll pause for questions right now. That was a lot. Take a look here, questions. And what are bundles? Okay, bundles are... from Terry, bundles are a collection of inventory items and services. So, to show you what I mean by that very quickly, and I do separate office hours for how to use all of our templates. Bundles are created in settings very quickly. Settings are here, and you can create your medical notes here, your letters, your pre-formatted content, your wellness plans, and your bundles. And bundles are a collection of items and services. So instead of adding items together, like let's say here, a feline wellness exam, instead of adding items separately, I can bundle them all together at once, right? And then drop them in the patient record. And if you notice, these are the actions that are associated with the individual items that carry over to the bundle. What do I mean by this? Terry, if I go back to my little character Azrael here, and I want to enter a charge, I can enter charges like I did right here. This defensor rabies, I enter that charge individually. I could also come to here and say, gosh, you know, I know what I'm doing today. I don't want to have to enter every charge individually. I can just drop a whole bundle in here, right? And that whole bundle, make a new invoice, that whole bundle, right, will represent what's going to happen today. And I can examine it in advance and say, you know, maybe I want this, maybe I don't. And the good thing is you can always add, edit, delete once you're done. So I hope that explains that. Bundles are very good to use. Now, coming back to our item here, inventory uses, one of the last things here. So for vaccines, right? Vetter used to not have this feature, but it's been with us now, gosh, for over, you know, I think 7-8 months now, this feature. It's good. Is let's say you buy, right, rabies defensor, you buy a whole tray of 100, and the 1 year and the 3 year are exactly the same. And you used to in Vetter have to create a separate 1 year defensor item, a 3 year defensor item. Now when I come in, we call this the parent. Defensor rabies is the parent. And then we use uses as the children. And I have a 1 year and a 3 year, right, use right here. Now, what happened? Some of you are saying next due here one day. Don't worry about this. You're never going to add, if you have children right here, you're never going to add a parent as an item. The parent is there as the anchor. It holds the children in place. The fact that there's a 1 day is a little hint here, next due. It just means if I make this none, I can't use actions to create more reminders. Watch. Even though the children have their separate reminders, 12 months, 36 months, if I want to add, let's say, a second, a third, or fourth reminder, the actions are triggered by a next due date from the parent. And so that's why it's good to, you know, go ahead. So it's right here, right, it's good to go ahead and add, like I always add one as a, I'm sorry, this is actually, you know what, we might have actually fixed this. I'm sorry. You see, engineers don't tell me everything. You guys can laugh at me. It used to be that you had to have a next due here to trigger, right? To trigger the actions, right? And so, for example, you're not going to add defensor rabies, right? So if I come to here and I go to Azrael, right, and I add defensor rabies, I'm not adding the parent, right? I'm adding the children. As you can see, here they are. Okay, and I apologize for this if I seemed a little discombobulated here. You used to not be able to add follow-up reminder actions unless this had at least a due date. That was just kind of a quirk to the software, and that annoyed me and a lot of people, and I think engineering fixed this. So that means this is more intuitive. It makes sense because you're not sending a reminder on the defensor, on the parent. You're sending reminders on the child. So this is cool. So now I can still, okay, look at that. Engineering fixed that. So now I can go ahead, right, and add another reminder if needed to. Now, one other item I wanted to show was if, for example, we have a vaccine series, like let's say it's DAPPV, okay, right here, DAPPV, and we come here, right, and we want, you know, somewhere along the line, there's the DAPPV2 comes, and then I need to get a lepto, which is at a different kind of date and what have you. This is where our next action works to create reminders for this item or another item, right? And in this case, I'm going to create a reminder for another item and say, oh gosh, I need the lepto, right, to work right here, right? Leptovax 4 or the corona or what have you, right? When there's vaccines in sequence, you're going to go ahead, then you have the ability now to add in a reminder for another item. So now after I dispense this, it's then going to, whatever I have the reminder for under canine corona, right, 4 months from now or what have you, Vetter's going to go ahead and now I add the DAPPV2, and I can go ahead and now add a reminder for another item. And I want that then sent, however many weeks prior or what have you. So one other thing that we're going to be adding is we're also going to be adding the ability to add, let me jump back to the Fensor. If you notice here under uses, we have to have one price. We're going to add the ability to have separate prices for the separate children. Okay? So one other thing there. Let me pause really quickly. Question. And what is said in the email that is sent to the client for a reminder? Well, it is a default, and you can email yourself. You can take a look. It's a default reminder. It just simply says, let me try to find one for you. South Texas, let me try to find one here. And I usually delete these things. So let me go to, more trash. Let me go to here. Vetter software reminders. So I should have a reminder that was sent to me from Vetter. I'm trying to find Vetter Animal Hospital. Sorry here. I just want you to see what it looks like. Trash, appointment confirmation. Here we go. Reminder from Vetter Animal Hospital. It looks like this. As simple as this. But you can edit what that says, right? So the reminder email, right, comes out of settings right here. The reminder email comes out of settings. It's under configurations. I take a look at email defaults here, and I have, a medical reminder, and there's going to be default emails, which you saw here, or I can make my own email, right? And I simply then go to my letter templates, and I create a letter template to be the reminder email, whatever you wish it to say. And then you come to here and say, I want to choose, whatever the system default or whatever emails, right, I have already created. So hope that answers your question there, South Texas. So the last thing I want to do here, because I want to be cognizant of time, is show you how the, ordering works from MWI and Patterson. So this is where it's valuable. If I'm ordering, guys, if I'm ordering things from, Patterson, if I'm ordering things, let's say from Shine or whatever it is, it's easiest, right? If I just come here and I create a purchase order. I order this from the CVS pharmacy. It doesn't make a difference where I get it from. I come here and I just record the purchase, right? I put my supplier in, I put this information in, and I hit save, and it takes maybe 20 seconds to do, okay? It's useful. It's simple. I've been to a lot of clinics. I watch, the guys and gals there. Maybe one of them once a week sits there, right, for a half hour and enters them all. Now, if I have the inventory integration, though, there's a lot of value in this. And I'll come to here and I'll make a new order. I'll choose MWI because here I can track orders. Okay, now it's what it's doing. It's kicking me into the MWI, ordering website. And I come to here and I hit add item. Now I can't order pharmaceuticals from here. I can only order vaccinations and not, supply items. And it gives me real-time pricing and availability. Boom. And let me just show you something else. And I come to here and I want to order another item. And So this sometimes takes a little bit longer because you're connecting right into MWI. And I take syringes, let's say, just because I can only order so many items, and I order 10 of these, okay? And I hit save and close. Now, and if you have the integration with any one of our integration partners, use this because it makes inventory tracking much easier. I'm going to hit submit order, right? Your account is debited with the suppliers, and now the software is going to track this. I can still go ahead and print a purchase order, right, for old time's sake, to have a paper backup. But here's what's nice, is the orders never always come at once. And I can track this. Open, submitted, received. Okay, we just submitted this order right here, right? This is the same as this order right here, okay? And then a few days later, delivery comes, I go outside, I hit new receipt. And I come here and I say MWI. Now, I've never, it's going to show every open order. Now, I'm lazy. It's a demo account. I never close my orders. I probably should. Oops. And I grab the most recent one, 524. I can add this information in. I come in here now, I open the box, and I say, hey, there's the Bordadella. Let me make sure it's all here, right? And I can put the manufacturer, lot number, expiration date. I check it's all here, save, done. Now I open it up and I say, gosh, the syringes aren't here. Not a problem. I'm not deleting the order. I'm just deleting it from the receipt, right? And items deleted, and now I post the receipt. And that Bordadella is automatically going to populate. Order 524, it's going to populate my inventory, and pricing will be adjusted accordingly. I come to here, I view my purchases. Hey, there's order 524. And even though I forgot to put lot number, expiration date, what have you, I can still always go back and do this by editing the purchase. Now, you say that item, those syringes, what happens to those? Those syringes don't go away. They're still part now of a partially received order, right? And once a week or what have you, you go and you take a look at stuff and you say, hey, partially received, MWI, where are my syringes, right? You get the idea. The last thing I want to show you, I'm just checking for questions, almost done here. The very last thing, and I almost forgot, is when you create inventory items, there's the last thing is right here. I showed you how to create an item for a prescription, and I'm sorry, I did not show you how to create a feed. Now, right now, I'm from Germany, and Germany lost today to South Korea. My wife's from South Korea, and they lost the World Cup 2-0. And as you can imagine, yeah, I'm never going to hear the end of it. So we're both immigrants. My Germany lost. So right now there could be an angry German fee if I came into your office. And by marking it as a fee, right, and my wife is just loving this. And we come to here, notice everything else grays out, and the fee could be a fixed fee of $10 or % of cost. That suddenly, right, means for any item I go to an inventory, I can now add that fee. If I come in and buy gabapentin and I'm pissed off about the World Cup, you come here and you just say, well, he gets the angry German fee. Hey, we have clinics in the South that I know that add Yankee fees. Hey, laugh, it works. Go with it. Now, the other thing that you can do here is you can also create the same way discounts, right? I can create discounts the same way, whatever you want to call it. I don't know, random discount, right? And this, I call it a discount. Notice what happens. Everything else grays out. And we have right here, what dollar or %. Simple as that. The last thing that you can do that I wanted to show people, and discounts can be applied on the client level or the invoice level. The last thing I want to show is this. Inventory can be used to dispense anything you wish, right? Hug your pet. Some of you have heard me talk about this. Doctors will add a hug your pet random thing. It doesn't have to be a physical item to a bundle. And notice, print on invoice, no. Cost, no. So I add a hug your pet to any bundle. I don't have a bundle available here. And that bundle gets added to a client, right, or a patient record. A month later, they're going to get a reminder from you that says, hug your pet. People like this. So it's a marketing thing. Think of inventory as anything you wish to dispense that can then be added on, okay? And this allows for extra communication, and you can add things to bundles. Just like, for example, follow up, let's say surgical follow-up visit. It's one other thing I wanted to show. A surgical follow-up visit might be a $0 item, and you want this to happen 2 weeks after the surgery. Instead of manually going to a patient record, this is a good little trick on doing inventory and automating stuff. Instead of going here, right, and then let's say our little guy had surgery, and you could do a manual reminder and say, hey, surgical follow-up visit, right? And I can say, okay, I want to see you in 2 weeks or what have you. What if we made that standard for every bundle, right? So, for example, I come to here, I come to my templates, I look at my bundles, and I did a surgery bundle right here, and I added that surgical follow-up to the bundle, okay? Notice it's right here, $0, it's part of the price, what have you. Then I don't have to remind them, right? I come back to here, and I go back to my patient, and I just do this. And watch the reminders up here. Notice there's no surgical follow-up on the reminders. Green, yellow, red, yellow being due within 30 days. Watch this. I do new record. I do new bundle. I hit surgical procedure. Okay. I hit next, whatever, create, done. And now I've had the procedure done. I'll also have this as a callback task. But more importantly, take a look here, surgical follow-up visit. Now the client is going to get reminded via postcard or email or text or what have you, right? And so you've automated the process. And the last thing, of course, to finally manage all your reminders at a glance, always come to here, use the reminders detail report in communications. And I recommend to every clinic, the beginning of every month, print this out. I mean, I have a demo account, and I have a lot of reminders here. It's going to show you when the reminder was sent. It's going to show you when the item is due. Okay? It's also can be filtered by date range, by categories, right? I want to do just immunizations or what have you. I can also come here and I can, if I have mail, right? If I'm going to send postcards, I can print postcards here. I can resend because I can, click here and choose to resend for certain ones. And this can be printed and downloaded. Print this out at the beginning of every month, put it up front so everyone in the clinic can see who's being reminded. I know that was a whirlwind and that's a lot. I'm going to check one last time for questions. Just one more. And I will integrate with Patterson going forward, but can I manually enter orders from Scott? Yes. Manually enter orders when received, including cost. Absolutely. Do it that way and then do the integration moving forward. Back to orders and receipts from Casey. Do you have to create a second receipt for the rest of the order? Yes. So if something is not there, you have to create a second receipt. And again, I gotta tell you, it's not, if you have a small clinic and you have like a staff of 4 or 5, you know what? It's probably faster to manually enter orders. But if you got a larger clinic and inventory management matters, and this is where most money is lost. You and I both know that. We all know this is where most money is lost. Even though you have to create a second receipt, it's worth it. If you have a full-time inventory person who manages, it's worth it because then you can track the orders or something is missed. So again, evaluate this. Depending on the size of your staff, how much available time you have, maybe manually entering is good. But if you're larger and you want to track where every penny goes because it starts to matter, then do the receipt purchase order process. And I hope, and there was one other person here, Drew, please send me an email with a screenshot or the item so that we can investigate that for you in regards to the lot numbers being pulled. Okay, I know this is a lengthy one. Reminders is a big deal. It's recorded. There's probably going to be tears on my video because of Germany's loss, but to my wife's game. I wish all of you guys a great rest of the day. Again, this is Matt Zahner. Most of you know how to get a hold of me anyhow, so find me of any questions. Okay, I thank everybody and I wish you a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.